Aloha e ka lehu. Belina me kia aloha ia o ko pakahi a pau. If you are here for our third and final workshop in our Lahui Kanaka series, then you're in the right place. And I see everybody coming on into our Zoom page. If you're also on social media, please go ahead and share out on your social media platforms. I believe we have Office of Hawaiian Affairs, we have Papaola Lokahi, we have Kanaio Kana, all live streaming with us. So go ahead so we can all get our devices ready and share it out and encourage others to join in with us. At the same time, go ahead and put in the chat, no hea mai oi, o wai la koi noa. Share your name and where are you tuning in from today. So we have aloha Kathleen from Kailua Oahu and Mr. Espiritu from Texas. So happy to see you again. He's been on all 3 days. So awesome. We have Waimea calling in as well. Aloha. We have Fairfax, California. Maikai. So we have people from all over our honua, from our Pai Aina and on the continent. Aloha e Kohilo. Ooh, Kauai as well. Aloha kako. And even if you're on our Facebook live streams, we can't see your chats, but we are able to still connect with each other. So please go ahead and type in your mana'o there, and we may be able to get to you and answer some of your questions if you have it there. For those of you on the Zoom, we will also be virtual moderating. So if you have mana'o that you are wanting to either add or to ask about, please go ahead and put it in the chat as well. And we'll try our best to get to them. So we see folks coming in. Aloha anakala analu. And Kaʻauʻani, oh, we have Kaʻauʻani, kumu hula Kaʻauʻani joining in. And aloha lahano ya oi, her birthday was yesterday. I just found out in the Aumoy this morning, like, kumu Kaʻau, her birthday. So she led with kumu Pata on Friday about Aipono, and yesterday was her lahano, and here she is today joining in. So nui kia lahi ya oi, kumu Kaʻauʻani. Aloha. Oh, IN. Where is that? IN. Is that Indiana? Kalamai. Aloha kama aina ika aina e. So I think IN is Indiana. So aloha ko Indiana. We have folks joining in from all over the continent, as well as right here with the Ohana English from Waiōhuli. Yes. So we have our Hawaii and Maui coming in, our Oahu people, our Kauai people, and our continent people tuning in. And we mahalo you for joining us. So if you're just logging on, please share on your social media platforms. Go ahead and follow on Office of Hawaiian Affairs or on Kanaio Kana, as well as Papaola Lokahi. If you are following any of their pages, they are simultaneously broadcasting for us. And you can encourage your ohana, because that's really what it's about. So we're wanting to bring our ohana together in different ways, including our extended ohana from across Moana Nui Akea, as well as around the world to come together and learn. That's what we're here to do. We're here to learn together. And so please encourage folks to nanea mai, to launa mai, to a'o mai, to join us. So mahalo. Oh, I see Miss Mowani on as well. Aloha e Mowani. No pauela haiku. Nui kia lahi ya oi. Aloha. No leila, uakani ka hola ea. Uakani ka hola. So we'll go ahead and ho'omaka with our papahana for today, which is Hoʻoikaika ko Pālama, to strengthen your Pālama. And as we started every day, it's important for us to set our intention, and we mahalo our ohana kanakaʻole, and we mahalo Auntie Edith kanakaʻole for graciously providing this for our lehu, and that in a space where this is a pule, this is an oli, that is simple in language, meaning the phrasing, the words are fairly simple. And so for those tuning in from around the world, as you are seeing here on your screen, we invite you to chant along with us, to set your intention about receiving the ike, the things that are so gifted to us by our kupuna, things that we will take away, and we're asking to bring it all on. We're gonna get all of that ike coming our way. So if you are not familiar with this, just be in space with us. Yeah, we're gonna align our piko that we learned about yesterday. We're gonna take our deep breaths. No leila hanumai, hanuaku. Hanumai, hanuaku. Hanumai, hanuaku. Hanumai, hanuaku. E o mai ka ike mai luna mai e. O na mea una no ea o na mele. E o mai, e o mai. E o mai e ai o mai ka ike mai luna mai e o na mea una no ea o na mele e o mai e o mai e o mai e ai e o mai ka ike mai luna mai e o na mea una no ea o na mele o mai e o mai e o mai e. No leila, ia no kako, we're gathered because of Lahui Kanaka. Those have been tuning in every single day since Friday, so this is the third one. You have heard the mo'olelo, you have heard of what Lahui Kanaka is all about, but there may be some of you that are just joining in today. And for that reason, we're gonna take a moment to kind of calibrate each other, build shared understanding of what Lahui Kanaka is all about. O wau na hoʻikeia o kumuhula Tatiana Save Fox, no wai o ka mai au, ma nei nei, ma o ahu kapa ia o Mililani. And I am one of those that answered the kahea by Kumuhula Mehana Hind. And so, you know, when certain people kahea, those are the kahea that you answer. Yeah, so when Mehana put out a message to Kumuhula saying, you know, we as hula people, we know how to maintain ourselves. We know how to align ourselves with all that is around us. And she wanted us to come together and talk story about, so how do we build this Pālama? How do we kukului ka Pālama for our halau, as well as for the lehu lehu? And so this first round, this first month, we took the time to talk about it, to bring in our halau in this. And now we're taking it out to the lehu lehu, which means our audience of the world, to the public, to build, again, shared understanding about Lahui Kanaka. So as you see here on your screens, the mana'o of Lahui, you know, many are more familiar with the term of people coming together. When we say that, no kapono ka Lahui, it's really oftentimes about bringing our nation, our people as a people, doing what is right by the people. Lahui is also this idea of a kapu, right? To put in a law of what we need to be doing. And so as we start to see what's happening all over us as a result of this COVID-19 pandemic, we as hula people said, this is what we know, how to be proactive. We know the iki of our kupuna and how to culturally respond to this. And the term kanaka, so with the kahako over the kanaka, it pluralizes things. So it's for all people. It's for all of us, right? So kanaka is about the human, and we know that the way in which the disease is spreading is this virus, the virus is spreading is by human touch. You know, it's contact, and thus we as kanaka play an important role of how to pale ourselves, and how to pale our palama. And pale means to care for, to protect, to shelter. And so as kanaka, we need to hoʻokanaka. We need to take this on, and we need to be brave at times. We need to be human, right? We need to be knowing that this is a space of humanity, that we need to do our part. Yeah. No leila lahui kanaka is a space where we are going to hold in kapu for Mauliola. Our nu'ukia, our goal, our vision, our aim is Mauliola. Let's say that together. Mauliola. And Mauliola is about health and wellness. The term uli is about those dark colors, and that when you look into our forest, into our kai, into the moana nui akea, and you see those dark spaces, those are healthy, thriving spaces. And even for kanaka, when we see life in people, you can tell that the mauli is within them. And so that is our aim, is about Mauliola. And so as a collective, we are coming together, focus that energy on Mauliola. And what we're offering, what we've been talking about over the last 3 days, is about a kahua, right? This is the Ho'okahua series. It's setting the foundation for those who are coming along with us and keeping your intention on Mauliola. It is also about building a common understanding, you know, learning from each other, the words, the terms, similar to what we've been doing over the last couple of days. Today's panel is gonna just blow our minds. I know I'm gonna introduce more terms to us to kind of wrestle with. This is also for us to unify our practice while also maintaining what you do. Do you, right? We're encouraging everybody to tap into what you've been taught by your kupuna, your kumu. You know, hold that space and know that it is all focused on Mauliola, but also open and learn and say, okay, this is what they're offering for me to learn more about and see what resonates with you. We encourage you all to join in 100%, right? Go for it, go all in. At the same time, you know, life happens. And so you do what you can do to your ability. So for the first kukului Pālama, they talked about aipono, and they talked about physical fitness and moving. As hula people, we gotta move. They talk about getting out in the sun or even taking a bath. Wherever you're at in that spectrum, it may not be feasible for you to do all of those things. If all you can do is mahalo the canned goods that you have, it might not be so aipono, but you know what? You pull it on that ai and it will be pono. But if you can, go ahead and get kanu your huli, and you can ku'ikalo, and you can eat the i'a and make sure that you have olena for yourselves, then join us in that way too. And then yesterday it was about setting the mindset. You know, if you can only take a deep breath to reset yourself, then do that. And if you can do more than that deep breath, then align your piko. Make sure you know what your intention is every single moment of the day, and you're aligning towards that way. Then maikai malama your palama in that way. Simulate the minds of your palama. And then for today, join in on learning the Pule. Join in on understanding what that means for us as hula people. And if you're like, wow, this is a lot of words, I can't take it all in, then keep watching the video, because this is going to be archived on www.oha.org/lahui kanaka, and you can go and you can watch it and you can listen to that over and over and over and over again. So we're gonna, go through this quickly, because I know you want to jump in to meet all of our esteemed kumu hula here. our mauli to mauli, if you can see on the pomahina, our malama is the term for Hawaiian, the term for month in Hawaiian, in malama. We have these anahulu. Anahulu means 10 days. And you can see we have the 10 moon phases that are the waxing, they get bigger. We have the moon phases that are the full moon phases. And then we have the moon phases that are the waning. So we're in the waning, the anahulu ho'emi right now. And if you can see where my cursor is going, we are here on the lono, right? So we're here, and tomorrow is mauli. So we've been maintaining this lahui kanaka as hula people for one full malama. And now we're encouraging the lehu lehu to join us to set your intention. And, you know, holding this space for 30 days has been a challenge, but also has brought so much growth and so much encouragement and so much mauli into, I know in my Pālama. And so at the same time, Auntie Hōkūlani shares with us, when you go deep, you gotta also come back up for air. So after these 30 days, we're gonna, you know, ho'oku'u ourselves from the kapu, catch our breath, literally, you know, and then rejoin back in for 2 more anahulu. So we'll talk about that at the end, but I want to encourage folks that when you are listening in today, take in what you can. If you are anxiously trying to take notes, maybe just sit and let it just come, because you know you can watch it again. You know, be present in the moment, and you know, pay attention to what that ike that you have asked to hold mai, yeah? No leila. Papa olelo, these are some of the common terms. We have Mauliola, Lahui Kanaka, Anahulu, Pālama, Pale, Kiko. These are some resources that you can access. Ulukau, you can go to vehevehe.org. You can Google vehevehe viki viki, and you can pull up these terms. So if there are terms that you're not sure of what they mean, nanai ke kumu, go to the source, yeah, and do some research, because we're not gonna give you everything spoon feed all the time. Yeah, you're gonna have to make your own understanding, which is you're gonna have to go research on your own and ask yourself, so what does this mean for me? What does this mean for me? What does this mean for my Pālama, for those that are in my space? And then how do we strengthen? How do we Hoʻoikaika i ka Pālama? And with that, I'm going to just mahalo our lovely panel that we have here. We have Kumuhula Hōkūlani Holt, kumu Kalei Nuʻuhiwa, Kumuhula Kapuaokalani Kaʻauʻa, and Kumuhula Pele Kalo. Ano leila, mahalo nui ya o ko pakahia pau, and I'm going to ask Auntie Hōkūlani Holt to go ahead and ho'olauna mai.
Aloha mai kākou, mahalo Tatiana for this great introduction into what Lahui Kanaka is, what this Ho'okahua series are, and like she says, you know, go back, take a look. You can see it again. It's being recorded, and if we need to go a little slower, that's how you can go back and take a look. So my little introduction has to do with what are we going to talk about. This Ho'okahua series was built upon the concept of how hula people look at their learning, that we must have a strong foundation. We must have a strong foundation in physical dancing, in physical work, and thus the first day. We have to have a strong foundation in intellectual work and in mental work, such as memorizing chants and memorizing hula and learning about the kauna and the nuances within the chants, learning our history, learning all the things that come into what we are as hula people. And now the third has to do with now going to our spiritual, or some want to call it emotional, but for us it really is our spiritual foundation, to go to the places that will help us tap into the things that are unseen, as well as the things that inspire us, that are around us all the time. And much of that is located in our chants, in our stories, our mo'olelo, in our olelo no'eau, and all those words that have been left to us by our kupuna. So today, we're going to discuss how to strengthen your Pālama, how to strengthen your little encapsulation of your world, those that live within your household, those that are keeping the same kinds of things to keep you safe. That's who your sanctuary, that's who your Pālama are. And so now we will look at how are you going to strengthen your Pālama through focused intention and focused Pule for your spiritual well-being. So I would like to turn the time over to those that are here. I'll begin. And we didn't really go, oh, who's gonna go second, who's gonna go third. Just jump in, gang, when you're ready to talk. So I'll go first. O Hōkūlani Holt. He kumuhulau no ka halau hula kapaia o Pāʻuohiʻiaka. Ua hana wau ma waikiki o ahu, a hana iau ma waiʻehu maui. O Harry Hiʻileliʻi Holt koʻu makuakane, o Leana I ka Roselani o Maui Long koʻu makuahine. Noho au I kēia manawa ma kēia wahi kapaia o Kauahea. Kauahea I Wailuku ma Maui nei. Aloha no. Go.
Aloha mai. Aloha mai kākou o wau o Kapuaokalani Kaʻauʻa. No hilo mai au, ua hanau ia wau ma ke wahine ma ka moku o ke awe. He kupu au no a papa I ko a lea mai ma ka au hau makua o hilo. Noho wau I ka umana, I uka o hilo I ke manawa I ke la ahupuahala. A laila, he kumuhula wau no unu kiahi, he kumuhula pu wau no naho mana ma ka umeke ka eo, ma ke o kaha, he kulakai e puni ke ia. A laila, no leila, no ke anaina apau I hoʻea mai, I hoʻolauna mai me mākou, aloha nui kākou.
Ano ai me ke aloha ia kākou a pau I ākuakua mai ma kēia webinar o Lāhui Kanaka o wau no o Pele Kalo. I was born and raised in Carson, California, but I live now in the Aina Akaua Kipu'upu'u o Waimea with my wife Kehau. I was born to Sisi and Lincoln Kaʻio. My father is from Laʻia on the island of Oahu. And my mother's family is from Aiea, but originally from Ka'u. My mother, Sisi Kaʻio, is my introduction into hula and earliest rearing in hula. In my adult years, I became a student of Dr. Taupuri Tangaro through Unu Kupu Kupu, whose traditions come from Halau Kekuhi. And in 2014, I, along with my hoʻopapa of Uno Lehua, went through our Uniki. I am the kumuhula of Unulau, based in Hilo and Waimea, and I teach at Hawaii Community College. Mahalo nui kākou.
Hi, how's it, Gangi? Aloha kākou. O wau noho I o Kalei Nuʻuhiwa no Maui mai au a ka nona e noho wau I Hilo. Ma ke ahupua'a o waia ke waina. O wau noho I ke kahi nui I. Oia ka uhana koʻu kuleana, oia ke kahu ana I nā mea I luna o ka lani, oia ka hana nei. But I just want to say aloha to all of you and thank you for this opportunity to share our own practices with you. And yeah, and I'm very happy to be with my fellow esteemed panelists. and that they allow me to sit here with them. And so I'm very grateful to all of you. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this hour and a half. Okay, aloha.
Mahalo nui, everyone. And you'll get to know us a little bit better as we go through what we are doing together here, and how hopefully we can take you along with us. I'd like to turn the time over to Kapua for her to talk story with us a little bit. Next slide.
Aloha mai kako. Thank you, kumu Hōkūlani. And mahalo to all the kumu who have like spent so much hours and time building this this kahua for us to come together for a Mauliola, for spiritual and collective well-being of ourselves, of our kino. I would like to talk about the idea of discipline and how do we look at discipline in this lahui kanaka process that we're going through. And so I'm going to start with lahui kanaka. What is lahui kanaka? Yeah, what is the context of that? How do we conceptualize this idea of lahui kanaka? Yeah, because for lahui, like Kumutati said, it has to do with the group. But this other meaning of lahui has to do with a couple, a collective couple. Yeah, not just a couple, but a couple that's collectively moved and churned and so forth. Yeah, to a specific thing or movement. And so I put it into layman's terms because I wanted to see how the lahui could really understand the idea of lahui kanaka. So I looked at it from a diet perspective, okay? And so when you diet and you're trying to cut out rice, okay? And everybody, we all love rice, right? We go to rice with everything, rice with lau, rice with kalupig, rice with everything, okay? And then it's hard. It's hard work. It's hard work to diet, to create this couple, right? And then you need help. So you call your friends, right? So you call all your friends and you get them on the same diet with you to help you ko'o, right? And then you check up on each other every morning, making sure you guys didn't eat the right things, you guys did your hakikino, you guys didn't do your exercise, you guys stayed in accord for that common goal with this specific couple, this specific lahui, right? Collectively, right? And so this one common goal to malama this idea of lahui kanaka collectively is the action, right? Is the action, okay? And we all know it's hard because sometimes we fall off the canoe and then sometimes we tip the whole canoe over, right? But then we got to get back up, you know, and we got to reel them back in. And so the idea of lahui kanaka is that discipline that you can stay afloat in that va'a, right? Without tipping over in a collective process, right? To abstain from something that is specifically possibly not good for you, not good for me, or not good, or maybe it's just a couple that needs to be placed for a specific amount of time, which we're saying 3 anahulu, 2 anahulu, right? For people who can hold 2 anahulu, 3 anahulu. That's the idea of lahui kanaka. Okay, and this comes with palenas. Now, how do we set our palena? And in this case, how do we set our palama? How do we look at our palama? What is the Palama Framework? How do we practice this idea of creating space, yeah, in our homes, in our areas that can be erected so that we can keep safe through this COVID process? So I'm going to look at the Palama Framework, yeah? The practice of Palama and the idea of houses, which were erected in traditional times, were for people who were ma'i. Whatever ailments they may have had, they were put into this erected palamas that were made of lama. And they would stay in this particular space and get better, right? And the idea of lama has to do with lightening. And when I look at it, for me, it has to do with the lightening of the ma'i, yeah? To lighten up the ma'i again, to get well, to come back to Mauliola, yeah? And so that idea of Pālama has to do with staying in that framework. It also has to do with the idea that you are being protected, like the ali'i wahine, who was protected, yeah, away from potential actions and situations, yeah, they was placed into Pālama spaces, right? And they were protected so that they could actually be in that kapu space. So this traditional knowledge that we're implementing is to help create safe spaces for our families. Sometimes we live, you know, with friends and roommates, but the implementation is still the same, yeah? And sometimes our Pālama actually has to go exponentially, because sometimes we have to kokua other houses, yeah, for our families. We just don't have one Pālama. We don't have one space. So sometimes maybe a tutu needs to have some kokua, yeah? So we have to look at the framework of Pālama and see, maybe you have to have a multiple home Pālama to keep you safe, yeah? Because your tutu live in one house next door, but you live the other side and you have to take care of a collective family unit, you know? And so how do we do that? How do we discipline ourselves to stay within our areas and set a goal so that we can all move collectively? Now I'm gonna talk about recognizing your ahu. And once you get your Pālama all set, right? Everybody get their Pālama set. Everybody set their Pālama. You get your framework. You get everything. You know, we know how much people gonna be in our Pālama. We can understand who's in our hale and everything. And then now you recognize your ahu. Okay, so now for us as hula practitioners, our ahu or kuahu is like in a healthy, vibrant space in our halal, which helps align us, yeah? Be it whether you have kinolau and you have your laka on it or whatever, it's that space that makes you pa'a and makes you set, right? In a collective alignment, okay? So you have to set your intentions within that kuahu space, right? So that you're in accord with the practice of the ahu, okay? The ahu I talk about today is your kino, yeah? Your body. Everything that you intake, the ahu that you take into your temple, yeah? And so, like, how do you keep this ahu, your personal ahu of your body, how do you keep that thriving, yeah? How do you keep all of that positive energy in your body? How do you receive all the stuff that you need to receive from external sources? How do you get all of that, right? And so away from the ino, right? And so maybe I'm putting myself at risk if I'm like going somewhere else. How do I take care of my ahu? You know, is my behaviors that I'm doing outside of my palena, is that not good for my personal ahu, my personal temple, right? And so we gotta look at those kinds of themes and that kinds of ideas so that we can keep ourselves safe and healthy, right? Within these specific palenas and this specific Pālama, yeah? How do we malama this ahu so that we can malama other people, yeah? And how do we come together for collective health, yeah? And how do we keep each other accountable within that reach of your personal ahu, other people's ahu? How do you keep their ahu? How do you keep themselves safe? How do you keep your whole house safe? And so forth. And so that comes down to mutual accountability. How are we accountable for ourselves? How are we accountable for our ohana? What do we do in that Pālama space when you go out and you leave your hale and you come back? You know, were you accountable for yourself? Where did you go? Are you still safe? Did you bring something back with you into your Pālama, right? And how are you going to, is it going to affect anybody else in that in your Pālama, yeah? When you're in Lahui Kanaka. So when we look at mutual accountability, yeah, it has to do with maybe you calling someone, keeping them in check. You know, hey, how you doing? You know, how's everything going? Or maybe we do a Zoom Pule together, you know? Keeping each other accountable for what's going on in their Pālama, and so that we can keep that on a hulu that we have, yeah? And we can stay in accord with and get through it together as a collective, yeah? And sometimes a simple phone call, you know, or maybe a text, you know? And all of that is the goal, is the collective goal to Mauliola, yeah? For health and well-being from this specific ma'i that we're dealing with. Because it's kind of beyond, it's more of a life and death thing when we're talking about Lahui Kanaka in this context. Yeah, it's not like, oh, we're just gonna take phew tuana hulus and we'll be all G, you know? It has to do with the idea that if you don't do this Lahui Kanaka, you may be putting yourself in jeopardy for death, yeah? And so how do we discipline ourselves to stay in that parameters so that we can all move collectively to health, right? So that's the idea for that. And so with that, the fruition of this is that if we move together collectively and we come together in the same va'a, and we all say, okay, I can abstain from this and I don't gotta go out and I don't have to drink and I don't have to meet up with my ho'alohas, and I'm okay in my hale for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, 30 days, and so forth, right? 2 on a hulu or 3 on a hulu, 20 days or 30 days, right? We can all move forward in a disciplinary manner and we can all reach Mauliola, yeah? So everyone can have that everyone can grasp the idea that we don't need to have all of this external things going on, and we don't need to do other things. All we have a main focus and a focal point, and that's just, and we're moving in that same canoe. With that said, I'm going to turn my umeke over to Kalei, because I'm done. Mahalo. And she's going to be dropping some Ike bombs on us today. Mahalo nui.
Okay, aloha gangi, it's my turn. I have, hang on to your bevities because I have 6 minutes to get everything I need to say to all of you. So, and I have my timer. I'm going to be talking about this idea of akua and spiritual thought process. And so I just have a little bit of a backstory to say. So, you know, in March when this is all happening, and I know some of you thinking, what is Kalei doing over there with everybody else? Okay, I'll tell you why I'm sitting here. I could not get over what was happening, you know, with the whole COVID thing and the coronavirus at that time. Watched babies die and everything. And the sense of despair just came over me. I just felt like, what can I do? What can I do as a regular Kanaka that can maybe contribute, at least feel a little better about myself? How can I uplift myself? And that's when I realized, well, you know, Kalei, you've got all these files. Oh, and I talked to my friend, Keola Chan, who said to me, well, Kalei, you know, you got something. You can do something. I said, I'm not a healer. And he goes, no, but you can do something. And it came to me one morning where I was like, you know what? Yeah, I can do something. I am a researcher by trade. And so I have all these folders that I collect things in, and I call these things garages, steal this word from Noe Wang Wilson. And whenever I find interesting things, I shove them in all these different files. And I happen to, while I'm looking through things that have to do with the celestials and the atmosphere, I do have things like fishing, farming, and then I have healing. And I thought to myself, you know, it would be really great. I went into that file, just went on to Facebook and started just teaching people how to do these different chants. And that's kind of how this happened to me, or happened for me. It wasn't something that I went looking for, but it was something that made me feel better after I did a chant. And then there were collective people who came and started coming to learn these chants too, because they also felt despair and depressed, and they also had anxiety. And so how am I connected here? Well, in order to do ritual and ceremony, you have to celestialize your practice. That's where I come in. I do all these things with stars and atmosphere. Okay, I can do that. So to conduct things, what you need to do is to understand, next please. You need to understand the akua. And I wanted people to feel, and so should you, that the word akua isn't some dude with a beard sitting in a toga on a cloud somewhere, and that's who we're all going to pray to. Well, maybe that's who you pray to, but that's cool. But really, the Hawaiian term for akua has many, many more thoughts about what that term means. And so we utilize the term akua to equate with the natural process that's happening outside. What are those akua? What are those natural processes in the environment that Hawaiian kupuna looked towards to realize that there was health and well-being? And that's one of the interesting things about how we find health and how we find our rituals and ceremonies, is this idea of bringing the outside, the universe, into you, because you are the center of your universe. Everybody has their own central place of their universe. So each of these natural processes, these akua, are given names, and that's why we have 400,000 akua in Hawaii. Okay, next, please. And so it's emulating these natural processes that Hawaiian kupuna looked for, that our chants look for, our Pule look for, our Kanainai look for, emulating that green forest, emulating, which is Kani, emulating Hi'iaka, who is about restoration, emulating Lono, who is about healthy air, healthy wind, the ability to breathe. So how do we imbue that? We look towards our environment, we look outside to bring that outside, that health into us, that spirituality, that essence of all of those natural processes into ourselves. Okay, next, please. And we collectively do it. Okay, that is the magic of being of practicing. Is you know, I can only use the Mauna as an example. The more people came, nobody cared what level you were at, nobody cared what platform you were at, so long as you came to shakalaka with everybody. Okay, so long as you came in one place, to be present in one place for a single goal, which was to whatever that goal was. So that's what Stacy was, Kapua was talking about earlier, this idea of coming together, of thinking about a single goal, which in this case is to lower that curve. Let's lower that curve collectively so that we can all puka through, we can all be victorious at the end, we can all get rid of collectively what would be affecting us negatively, which is this coronavirus. And you know, I believe in collective magic, and which is spiritual belief, and it doesn't really matter who it is that you believe in, as long as we all collectively add that to the pot and then get to our goal together. You see that in the makahiki, when everybody collectively gathers together to think about what your intentions are going to be for the year. The intention is to elevate the chief. You elevate the chief, you elevate the community. So in this case, we're elevating the community together to get to that same goal, which is surviving through the next year. And finally, my last thing, please, is iola oe, iola aue. So if we collectively make sure we wear masks, if we collectively assure that we give each other the space that we need, oh, look at that, I did it on my timer. Okay, yeah, if we give ourselves enough space so that we can remain together socially but distance, we come together on the computer, we come together in different ways. We just have to be a little more innovative of how we interact just for now, because iola oe, if you live, which is what this line says, you see this a lot in a lot of our chants that talk about health and well-being. If you are thriving, I thrive too. And or sometimes it says, if you thrive, you know, this natural process that's happening out there, then we all thrive too. So that's my spiel for you all, gang, is it is through learning how to be thoughtful about one another, learning how to be a lahui in a lahui, a people of one mind collectively together for that similar goal. And the goal really is, gang, survival. And death is a motivating factor, gang. I am motivated to assure you live. So, iola oi, iola oe. Thank you. Oh, I'm
Okay.
passing this on to Pele. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so it's my turn. I'm Pele, talking about Pule. So I do want to start off reiterating the understanding that Lahui Kanaka is an invitation to be a part of this kapu, which is informed by our hula practices. For me, kapu is a space and a time designated for a specific purpose, and this kapu is for Mauliola, health and well-being, especially during this time. So I have on the bottom left of the screen, it says, E ulue, e ulukinyo ki akua. Grow the multitudes of akua. And this line comes from a pule that we use in our weekly practices in hula, which leads me into this caveat for my section for this presentation. What I share comes from my living experience in hula and the years of ceremonial practices and accumulated ike through the actual hana, doing these kind of things, like all of the panelists today and the two presentations before. But my discussion on Pule today is really tailored to an audience that includes those that have no experience with or knowledge of Hawaiian ceremonial practices at all. So I begin with this question. What is Pule? Pule simply is prayer. There are all different kinds of pule and different ways in which we pule. We pule for food, for safety, for health, for guidance, for forgiveness, etc. And some pule are offered formally, and some are offered informally. Some pule are memorized compositions, memorized chants, and some are created on the spot and for that particular moment. Typically, traditional pule may include an address or acknowledgement of the akua, the natural process, a request or statement of intention of the pule, reciprocation for this request, an offering of sorts, and then a closing. So what is the process of pule? For me, step one is to identify the intention. Why are we using it? Step two, identify the ritual process for this particular intention. And what is ritual and what is ritual process? The ritual of pule are the steps by which we take in order to manifest that intention. And then step three is to execute the ceremony. In other words, you gotta do them. So what is a ceremony? The ceremony is the execution of step number two, the ritual process. So not to take the sacred out of the process of pule, but to help us understand and conceptualize pule, ritual, and ceremony in a very, very basic way, I offer an analogy using vai, or water, as the pule. So if we go back to step one, identifying the intention of the pule, for, in this case, it's vai. What is the intention of this vai? The intention of this vai is perhaps to quench your thirst. Okay, so that's step number one. Step number two, what is the ritual process by which you will drink the water? It can be, you choose a cup, maybe a special cup, turn on the faucet, fill the cup with water, drink the water, pela valeaku, etc., etc. So that's step number two. You've identified the process. Step number three is the ceremony. And that's then is when you execute the above by doing them, by actually going through the process and drinking them. And then when do we know that the manifestation of the intention has been reached? It's when your thirst has been quenched, okay? On a very basic level. For us as people who do ceremony often, as much as one knows that drinking water will quench your thirst, we know that our intentions through pule and ceremony will manifest, not sometimes, but always. Sometimes it's really quick if you're like really, really good. And then sometimes you gotta be a little bit patient, extra patient, and be aware to receive the answer that you are looking for, that you are requesting. So now with that said, the execution of pule does not have to be elaborate, but the pule also allows space to focus our intention. So main thing, pule allows us to be present. which in the chaos of our lives right now, this is sorely needed. So the intention of the Pule is the expansion of this presence. So Pule can be as simple as silently sending out our intentions and creating the space to do so, which brings me to setting the space. How can we set the space? So using the concept of Piko or Kiko, like Kalei shared, you are the center of your universe, and it's about bringing the universe to you. This is the concept of Piko or Kiko. Really has to do with you finding a space and time to center yourself. We can expand this concept in different ways, and one way is the time in which we will collectively engage in Pule, which is the next slide. And the next slide reads, Kau kala I kalolo, Hoʻoikaika I ke kino. The sun stands directly above the head and the shadow retreats to the body. Yesterday, Dr. Kealoha Fox also shared about the importance of the sun and it being a source of energy, which for hula people, the sun is a catalyst for the activation of laka. And who is laka? Laka is the akua hula. And her function in our environment is that she is the evapotranspiration of water from our forests, which is a huge contributor to the health of our water cycles. Also in yesterday's presentation, Kumu shared about the alignment of the three piko, the piko po'o, piko ieve, and piko ma'i, also known as piko I, piko o, piko a. So this time of high noon summons balance and brings the totality of the self into alignment. And it is at this time that Lahui Kanaka will collectively, but separately, gather for Pule. We can go back to the slide that I had originally with the Mauna people. Previous slide. Oh yeah, mahalo. So as you can see in this slide, there's a picture of one of the many days that were spent on Mauna Kea doing a Hulihia Chant, also known as Aikamumu, a chant that calls for complete change and overturning, which was the intention of adding this particular Hulihia to our daily 3 times a day ka'ina of Pule. So the other reasons this picture is here is to remind us of collectivity that we talked about, to remind us of being present, to create space to be in the focus, and to also remind us that ceremony doesn't have to be complex. It can be very, very simple. But the important part is that we participate at whatever level of participation we can. And I can hear Auntie Pua saying, tell them they gotta get on the ala, or actually like getting up and saying, hey, get up, come on. And it was her not so gentle reminder that if you're there, your participation is required. It's not a time to be a spectator. And I'd like to gently reiterate that sentiment of Auntie Pua. So we can manifest intentions with different ritual processes and ceremony, but the intention remains the same. With the secular example I used earlier, the intention of quenching your thirst can be done in different ways, but quenching your thirst is the overarching intention. Likewise, the ka'ina or sequencing of Pule that Auntie Hoku will share for Lahui Kanaka, that we're suggesting, that the ka'ina, that can change depending on what you know and what you're capable of doing. However, the intention remains the same for all of us, which is Mauliola, of healing and well-being. So I pass it to Auntie Hoku.
Okay, mahalo. You know, so gang, what do you see? You see, maybe for some of you, this is a, yes, I'm on the right track, we good. And for some of you, it is, whoo, I gotta get on this track. Yes, because what we're saying is spiritual well-being is as important as physical, mental, and emotional well-being in your journey towards Mauliola, in your journey to overall well-being. It is hula processing. It is a process that many people use, that we also have to do something spiritually. And so what we are proposing, what we are asking, is that there will be a time that we will all come together. And I'm going to put a little caveat on this, that we are not telling anybody what they have to do. If you have a kumu that is telling you this is what we will be doing, hunky-dory. You never tell your kumu no. We know that, right? Hula people. Your kumu says something, the only appropriate answer is yes. So when your kumu says we will do this pule and this pule and this pule, the answer is yes. But should you need some way to guide yourself on this ritual and ceremony road, we have a way. And what we are asking is to do to start with what Pele and Kalei and Kapua said. We have to set our mind and our spirit to the intention that we want to reach. Yeah, we gotta know the goal. Like Pele's, what is the goal? What is the reason? You want to quench, we gotta know the goal. If you don't know the goal, the ritual and the ceremony is not going to be effective. And our goal is Mauliola. Our goal is health and well-being. So if we are also, which we are encouraging, going to have this Mauliola, we are asking that you go out into the 12 noon at the Kaukalai Kalolo and do, if nothing else, do this one thing I'm going to talk about in a minute, and Kalei going to teach you after. And this one thing is you go out, you're going to set your intention by bringing the spirit all into you. You do deep breathing. We also encourage that if you have a pu or a pu ohe, that you blow it at that time. That you do 3 pu or pu ohe, which helps us to center also on our breathing. Yeah, when you hanumai and hanuaku, you center on your breathing. When you pu ohe, you center on your breathing. Because if your breathing is not, if your breath is not appropriate or strong enough, the pu gonna sound not good. Yeah, it's gonna sound not good. So that brings you to that awareness. Okay, I have to focus on my breathing. We know that this this COVID affects the lungs, affects the breathing. So as we focus on our breathing, as we focus on doing our pu ohe, we focus on our lungs and expanding and using and keeping that healthy as well. We also want us to know that Pule, Oli, is an important part of this time. And Kalei will share with us the one that we are putting forward in just a second. And then after the Oli, if you are hula folk, we ask you to do at least one hula. Okay, so if you're a haumana, and we say, okay, you're gonna do one hula, and you go like this. Where's my kumu? How am I gonna do my hula without my kumu? Where's my ho'opa'a? How am I? We believe in recording. Yeah, so if you wanna record and you put that and you hula, your one hula, maikai. That is to increase our physical contribution to this ritual, that you physically provide this sweat, provide this transpiration of water. You provide yourself into the ritual and the overall pule itself. Then you hanumai and hanuaku again, and then you pu and you pu ohe again. This simple pu, hanu, chant, hula if you can, pu, hanu, is a simple, basic way for us to collectively, as Kapua said, and all of us said, the collectivity of all actions is what makes it powerful. So, you know, we talk about doing it with your Pālama, and I'm just going to share a little story. She's probably going to kill me, but I don't care. And that's the one that comes from Tatiana Seu, who does her pule with her children in their yard, and why we sometimes talk about you have to ho'okanaka or be brave, because when you step up at Kaukalai Kalolo into your yard, because we want you to get your vitamin D, get out into the sun, let the heat of Kane come into you, and you notice, like her son noticed, nobody else is out in their yard. Mama, there's just us. Where's everybody else? And she had to share. They are out there. We just don't see them. Yeah, and that's a Maikai thing. So go out and do the pule that is important for us to rejuvenate ourselves spiritually, to collectively lead us towards Mauliola, and to know that we can all do it together. And with that, I'd like to punt over to Kalei, and the next slide, please.
Okay, mahalo Hoku and everybody. Okay, I am going to be teaching you the suggested chant for the noontime hour. Although you can do it 3 times a day if you want to, in the morning, at 9, or before that, noon, and then in the evening. The more you do it, the better, actually. But yeah, so, or when you're feeling a little depressed. So this is called Pule Hi'iaka. It's actually part of a longer stretch of mele and pule that are together. This comes from the time when Hi'iaka is revitalizing and reviving Lohi'au in the story of Pele and Hi'iaka. And it's actually this particular section is used in several other stories as well, and seems to be a pule was chosen to utilize specifically with water. Okay, so specifically with water, and that's part of what this is all about, is making sure you get enough sleep, making sure you get enough water in your body, making sure you get enough sun. And so all of these natural processes that I just talked about is actually listed in this particular pule. So Pulea Hi'iaka starts off with e kane. And kane in this case, as you can see, is in the next line in the form of kane ikawai ola. So kane that resides in the water process, in the water cycle. And so that is the natural process that we're addressing and hoping to entice to come into our water and to provide us with the nutrients. And kane ikawai ola is specifically water that moves, water that is not sitting somewhere stagnant, but water that's either percolating out of the earth, running along like in a stream. Yeah, so if it's sitting in a pond, it's a water that's moving. It's an active pond and not something that's sitting and being stagnant. Stagnant water is a whole other different water that's called kaola, Kaola. But anyway, this is kauai ola, which has to do with living healthy water that we all need. Okay, so He kaukau ola aku ke yaoi. We are talking, we're having this intimate discussion with Kane Kawai Ola, sort of enticing that energy that, as I was talking about, that imbue, how we want to imbue that life of living water into us. E kaukau ola aku ke ia yaoi. The next natural process that is addressed here is lono nui noho i kawai. And lono nui noho i kawai is the oxygen that sits in the water. Lono represents that zone where clouds and active air exists. And so if you go too high, there's not enough lono and things cannot exist. If you go too low in the ocean, yes, things cannot exist that need to breathe air. But there's this sweet spot, this sweet zone that lono is in charge of or is responsible for in terms of function and functionality. So this lono nui noho i kawai is that 0,2 in H2O, right? So hydrogen is sunlight that we need, and oxygen, O2, O2 is that part that makes water. So H2O, oh yeah, H2O, sorry, I was going backwards. Yeah, is really lono nui noho i kawai. So we're addressing that energy, that natural process that we have in our water, living water that we need in our life. Okay, ho'okupu, ho'eu, ho'inana, these are all terms that we want, and part of our envisioning and part of our goal that we're trying to get to collectively is this idea of things flourishing, things being animated, things growing and moving. So this idea of inertia, and so water being the thing that energizes us to move, okay, and move towards life so that we thrive. Eia kawaila, here's your water. He wai ola e ola ho'i. It is living water for our health and well-being so that we thrive. Eli eli kapu, eli eli noa is one way of ending a pule, especially those that address Kane and address Pele and Hi'iaka, those guys, the big guns. We're calling the big guns is what we're doing. So we're calling those natural processes that we want to emulate in our bodies so that we can overcome and be healthy. Overcome the illness that's out there. So Eli Eli Kapu means to go down deep and be profound. And Eli Eli Noa also means to come back up and let it spread and have enlightenment too. So Eli Eli Kapu, Eli Eli Noa. Lele Vale Ho'iei, we send off this prayer, our intentions. Oia Ho'iha, that Oia Ho'iha is something that you see in old chants because this is pre-contact. We don't ask our gods for things or our akua. We tell the akua what we want, and that is what this section is here. Oia ho'iha, we're saying prove it. Prove to us that this is going to happen. And then ie holoe, let it go. And the word holo also means to become. So it's this intention that we already see is going to manifest. So we already see the end goal before we even ask for it. So we know it's going to happen. And that's kind of the beauty of some of the older pule that we have from our kupuna. So would you guys like me to chant it and then you follow along? I think so. Okay, yes, let's do it. So this is done in a oli oli style. And before I continue, you know, sometimes just being collectively with people is the best way to learn things easily. And I do want to say that I do have the link at the bottom there. If you want to click on it, it's an app. It's a free app that our organization has. We meet every Monday or weekdays together. You're more than welcome, 9 o'clock, to click on it. Be a part of the group, get your pule in on the morning time and then meet again in the noon time. And so, yeah, I just wanted to, that's my own little shout out commercial that I have here for that. But anyway, on that app, which is free, you will find that this is one of 14 pule that is available to you to utilize in these next 3 anahulu. Okay, here we go. So I'll do the first line and then you guys follow after me. So it starts off. Ekane, ekane. Very good. E kane I ka waiolai. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so let's do those first two lines together. And e kane 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 I ka waiolai. Beautiful. Next line. He kau kaula kuke ia ya oe. And nice. Let's do those three lines together from the top. And e kane 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 I ka waiolai. He kau kaula kuke ia ya oe. Next line. E lono nui noho I ka wai. Very good. Ho kupu, ho eu, ho inana I ke olai. Beautiful. So from the top, let's all go together and e kane 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 I ka waiolai. He kau kaula kuke ia ya oe. E lono nui noho I ka wai. Ho kupu, ho eu, ho inana I ke olai. Fantastic. We're all on the same page. Okay, here we go. E a ka waila, he waiola, e ola ho'i. Next line. Eli eli kapu, eli eli noa. Lele vale ho'i e. Oia ho'i ha. Nice. Ie holoe. Fantastic. So let's start from Eya Kawaila together and Eya Kawaila he waiola eola hoi. Eli eli kapu, eli eli noa, lele vale hoi e, oia hoi ha, ie holoe. Fantastic. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're all gonna grab our water because this is where you're gonna pull over your water. And once we're finished with the whole pule, then you drink your water because you're gonna now collectively ingest everything that you asked for, these natural processes that you asked for. And collectively, we all, shakalaka, we all gave our mana to each and every one of the folks who did it with us. And we shared in that so that now we can ingest it and then feel better. Okay, feel better about our day. And you know, sometimes it's really only about just getting through that one day. Just taking it one day at a time, being present at the moment, and then just getting through whatever challenge and obstacle it is that you're experiencing at the time. Anyway, let's start from the beginning. Ready, all together, and e kane 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 ka waiolai. He kau kaula kuke ia ya oe. E lono nui noho I ka wai. Ho kupu, ho eu, ho inana I ke olai. E ia ka waila, he waiola, e ola ho'i. Eli eli kapu, eli eli noa, lele vale ho'i e, oia ho'i ha, ie o holoe. All right, Gangi, I wish you all good health. Yeah, mahalo.
Okay, mahalo nui ya Kalei. Okay, Kalei, we forgot one line.
Yeah, I noticed that, but I was like just gonna go with it.
Yeah, roll with the punches. So,
Yeah.
so everybody, make sure you go online to her Kanainai Together. Yeah, go online to her Kanainai Together because all of the words are there.
Yeah.
It's just one little, two-word line. So
Yeah, it's
it's
Oya
all,
Ho'iha.
yeah. So
Yeah,
it's all
yeah.
my kai.
Yeah.
So make sure you go on that as well. So what I would like to, mahalo Kalei once again. So what I'd like to remind us is that we are coming to the end of our third anahulu. You know, first when we were talking about three anahulu, everybody said, yeah, can. But I think if we had said 30 days, people would have gone, oh, so long. But three anahulu, not bad at all. Yeah, and we're coming near the end of our three anahulu. So if you go to the next slide, please. And so what we're asking is because we see they report on going up, going down. We were doing good, gang. We were down to 66, and then it start climbing. So we're not out of the woods yet, and we're still working on our own personal Mauliola. So what we are hoping is that people will continue for 2 more anahulu. And as Tatiana showed us earlier, this slide shows us what anahulu are, the 10-day sequences. So we're asking for 2 anahulu done consecutively. So that doesn't mean you do one, then you take break, then you do one, and no, gotta be 2 anahulu together. So if you want to keep a rolling, you're on a good track, keep a rolling for the next 2 anahulu, mai ka'i. If you'd like to take a few days off and go have chocolate cake, mai ka'i. And then you come back on perhaps at the next structured anahulu, which starts in hilo, on hilo, or you can choose which day you want to start on and go for 20 consecutive days. But that is the idea that is here on this this sheet. For us, we're gonna start on hilo again. We're gonna end in Mauli. Take a little, go restock the refrigerator, or go talk to the friend again about the uala, or start one more round of grinding your olena, or however you're gonna do to do some ho'omakaukau. So that you can be makaukau, thank you, Pule, to start your next 2 anahulu. So we're asking that you maintain 2 anahulu for 20 consecutive days, which we know is scientifically is the 1 incubation period, which is the 14-day quarantine that we are asked to do should you need to do that. So this is what we have here on the screen right now is what we're recommending that we keep a going. No, we're not going. Well, yeah, Kalei, you wanna talk about your from Kalei Nuʻuhiwa to all panelists, Ole to start? You wanna make a little conversation about that?
Well, somebody asked over here on the side, a person asked, how do you folks feel about the Ole moon? So I was asking, you mean Ole to start? I'm not quite sure if that's the question. Is it okay to do Lahui on an Ole? Yeah. Okay, so, well, actually, most of the Pule that are big Pule before in the old days actually start on the Ole. And yeah, so you see Makahiki will start on the Ole, and then you'll see that the aha ceremonies that we're big for the chiefs actually started on Ole too, but I mean, we're starting on Mauli because our end goal is to achieve Mauliola. So it's a collective thought to go there, to have the moons in our favor. Mauliola is the natural process to have healthy vibrancy, and so that's why we're there doing it then. But in terms of Ole to start, you know, if that's your thing, go for it. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's why we're not saying, okay, now you got to do from Mauli to Mauli, because that's too long. Yeah. If you wait till the next Mauli, you might wanna start it on when you want to start it, when you think it's good for you. Like I said, for us, we're gonna start it on the hilo and go through. So from the ho'onui to the poi poi, and okay, and it's only because of me and I'm the kumu and I can say that. But it's because I know for myself, that's when I am most productive. That's when I'm most focused. So I'm wanting to put that double shot behind me.
I think the main thing is that whatever you choose to start on, as long as it's 20 consecutive days. And I did hear in the first panel that talked that one day that it takes 21 days to change a habit or to form a habit. So 20 days in one anahulu. So it doesn't really matter, Piilani, to me, in my mind, as long as you decide which phase you're going to start on and then do 20 consecutive phases thereafter, which is really the important part about that. Yeah, but mahalo for asking.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to round off a little bit on our ending, and then so if people are wanting to have questions, go ahead and put it in the chat box. We'll have maybe about 5-10 minutes for questions, and then we're going to do Ha'ina Ia Maiana Kapuana. So if you'll put the next slide up, please. Okay, this comes out of the chant that we just learned. Oh, get one more picture supposed to load, but she will come. There we go. And it has to do with what Kalei talked about, to in essence, do it, gang. Just go out there, do it. Don't be scared now. Go out, do it. Include your energy and your voice and yourself into this ceremony, into this ritual, so that all of this can happen. Things will be animated, life will be generated, stuff will spring forth in a positive manner, so that we all work towards Mauliola. Tatiana?
Wow. Right? For the lehu lehu is who are sitting in. If you're like me and who I've been tuning in to Kanainai and learning along, but still there's all these beautiful momi that start to come, or you start to go, okay, I make the connection now. That is so awesome. I'm gonna ask Kalei. So we did add in that line again. So for folks who are, you guys are so eleu, I'm sure, and you're wanting to maybe get your device out and record it, but definitely go to the Kanainai app because it's all there. Yeah, so, and if you're like, I don't know how to do that kind, then okay, go get your recording device. Take the picture right now, look at the screen, take your screenshot, take the picture. Mahalo, we added in that line after Oya Ho'iha, it's Oya Ho'oya. So now we're gonna ask Kalei to do a hana ho, and for those who are wanting to take the picture or download the app or get your recorded device out, go for it.
Yeah. And then that added Oya Ho'oya means not just prove it, but it's proven. In other words, we already manifested it in our mind. It happened. It's happening. These natural processes are going to make it happen. So yeah, that was a good imagery, Hoku, of the water flowing yeah, that's exactly what we need. We need our vibrancy to thrive and flow in the same way and be bubbly and moving about, getting some sun. Yeah, all of that. Okay. All right, here we go, gang. If there's no questions. Okay, all right. And pa. E ka ne ka ne ka ne ka waio lai. He kau kau la ku ke ia oi. E lono nui no ho I ka wai. Ho kupu ho eu ho inana I ke olai. E ia ka waila he waiola iola ho'i. Eli eli kapu eli noa lele vale ho'i e. Oia ho'iha oia ho'oia ie holoi. That's it, Yangi. Again, I wish you all health, good health, and prosperity.
So if we remember what Kalei just said, and what Pele started with, and what Kapua started with, and that has to do is we know our end goal. And when we do our ritual and our pule, like this particular one says, we see it, it's happening, we know it's happening, and it will happen. And when you come to it like that, whoo, Maikai. Sorry, Tatiana, your turn.
No, good. I love the whoos. We get the zing zings going on. Yeah, Kalei, we can zing zing everything. Yeah, the boom shakalaka is happening. Yeehaw. You know, the chat room is kind of quiet. I think everybody's just taking it all in, which is exactly what we, you know, are putting out there. Sit, take it in, let it ruminate. Yeah, we have that as a new word. Let it just kind of sit in with you. Continue to log on if you're on Facebook. We are on Facebook as well. There's a page just for Lahui Kanaka that's going to have maybe videos and suggested things, and we have PSAs that our kumu hula have been doing. We have these shows that are going to be recorded as well, and it's going to be posted on this particular Facebook app, so you can go ahead and look at Lahui Kanaka dash Kapu Mauliola, and you notice it says not a business. So you're gonna look for the one that has the Pālama there, and you're gonna go ahead and like that page, because really we're not doing this because we are trying to put out a product or anything. Our focus is about Mauliola. Our focus is about Ho'olulahui. Our focus is around Kukulu Pālama, Malama I ka Pālama, a Hoʻoikaika I ka Pālama. No leila. You could also have search on Lahui Kanaka, www.oha.org/Lahui Kanaka. Give us some time. We mahalo. We want to mahalo Office of Hawaiian Affairs, who has graciously and put this out there for us at the drop of a dime and said, Hikino, we're going to put this and we are going to help you and manage it for you as well. So they are going to be loading up the videos onto this website, www.oha.org, Lahui Kanaka. So if you want to go there and continue to watch, if you missed parts of Fridays or Saturdays or 2 days, you can go back there and watch it again. If you're watching on Facebook, again, you can look at it at Kanaiokana. I know Papaololo Kahi shared it. Oha shared it, of course. And so you can constantly come back, because I'm sure as you listen in each of them, you're going to start to pull out things that you never heard before. I didn't hear it the first time. Oh, or it means something new now to you. So mahalo nui ya oko e ko kalehulehu. We thank you all for logging in. We don't have a date yet on if there's going to be more. So as we said, this is all because we have lots of aloha. We have lots of aloha for our lahui. And so we as Hua Makahikina, which is the name of our the group of kumu hula, that's, I think we're up at about almost 50 now. Not an exclusive group, so auhea oko e ka po'e kumu hula. If you are in contact with other kumu hula and you want to come and learn more together with us, please do. So we are working together to ho'onui ike, to provide education and awareness for our lahui. So stay tuned. And when we decide what's going to be the next round of workshops, then we're going to be sharing that information on the OHA site and on Facebook. So mahalo ho, e kumu kalei, e kumu kapua, e kumu pele, me kumu hōkūlani nui ki aloha ia o ko pakahi a pau. A hui ho no kako, I ola no ka lahui, I ku kako, I ka mauliola, ola, a mama uanoa.